Welcome to Shalaborate. I'm Kath.
And I'm Kyra. This is our podcast for the girls, from the girls.
We're telling our stories, hyping up women who inspire us, and shalaborating every step of the way.
It's time to give you the girl talk you've been waiting for. Let's get into it. For once, we're not in costumes.
Oh my, has it been a while?
Yeah.
Since we've not costumed?
We've worn costumes like the past 4 episodes or something.
I love a costume.
So do I.
Maybe that's why it was so hard for me to pick my outfit today. Can I tell a really funny story that's nothing to do with anything?
Yeah.
It was our owner's birthday last night at work, and so they had a big thing. And he's an older guy with like white curly hair.
Okay.
And some of the girls that I work with, husbands came in and were like, mini this guy. So they came in with like white wigs.
Oh,
with like
my gosh.
like curly white wigs with like a backwards hat. And it was probably the funniest idea I've ever heard.
So they just all dressed up as him.
They just dressed up as him. Like nobody asked them to.
That is hilarious. Normalize dressing up as the birthday
Other people.
person.
I really do like that. Maybe like whoever gets married next, bachelorette party, is just dressing up as different pictures or versions of that person.
That's hilarious.
That would be really,
so
really funny. That was my funny story. All right, welcome back, Collaborators. I'm Kath.
And I'm Kyra.
And we are excited to have another episode with you. Today, we're going to talk about little ways that we fight the patriarchy. We don't want to get like super, super serious, but I feel like we wanted to go over some things that we do to take up space and just be proud that we're women.
Feminism, I think we do take pretty seriously. Is it microfeminism or is it rage bait? You decide.
Yeah, or kind of things that you might not even think of as feminism in its maybe purest sense.
Yeah.
In ways that like fighting the patriarchy.
Humor is a really, really good way to fight back and just give yourself a voice and create some space in your own life, because if you take it so seriously all the time, it's really easy to get down on things like women being put down by men, or there not being spaces for women, or there being a lack of equality and things like that. It's really easy to get down on it. So this is it.
Become very jaded.
Yeah, become super jaded. And this is just a funny reminder of feminism doesn't always have to look like a protest in the street.
Exactly.
It can take on many forms.
And I think that's the coolest thing about, and maybe the biggest misunderstandings when it comes to feminism, is like there's people talking about like right and wrong ways to be a feminist. And I don't think that that's very like a fair evaluation, because everyone shows up differently.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the best way is like the diverse approach to quote unquote fighting back or like fighting the patriarchy. Everyone's kind of got their own role, and maybe it's not showing up to a protest, but it's having a funny approach of putting a guy down when they're being mean to you.
Sometimes when I think of feminism, I think of it in the more traditional sense of looking for equality for women. Other times when I think of feminism, I think of it as like being able to express yourself as a woman and be respected as a woman, not necessarily being the exact same as a man. And so I think that feminism can take on a lot of different forms, which is also why I love these acts of microfeminism, because it really allows people to put their own flavor and their own personality into it. Yeah.
I think this is almost kind of a second episode, or like part 2 to our mansplaining episode.
Yeah.
Because we did go over kind of a lot of how we would respond to ways that we would be mansplained to. And so I think this is just a very natural segue into the broader conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Mansplaining kind of being one of those things. And we talked about the humor part of it.
Yeah.
That's usually the way I go.
And before we jump in, if you guys are listening on Spotify but you want to see our faces, go ahead and switch over to YouTube. And as always, if you like, comment, share, it helps boost our algorithm, helps other people find us. Every single week, we've been growing a little bit more and more. And we know it's because of you guys' interaction with our videos, with our Spotify posts. So Keep it up, and we really appreciate your support.
Yeah. So let's get started.
Like I said earlier, you need to decide if this is an act of microfeminism or if this is an act of rage baiting, potentially your coworkers or just men in general, which I also think can be really funny.
It's never not funny,
Especially if they're not getting it.
especially if they get really mad. Let's start with workplace.
Okay. One of the ways that I think that you can kind of show microfeminism is by referring to everything as like the boy version of it.
Yes.
And one that comes to mind immediately is a common thing in the military is you'll always get asked like, what's your favorite football team? I think the response should automatically be male football. You need to deadpan your delivery of that. And they're going to be like, yeah, football, like, you know, like NFL.
You're like, never heard of her.
Well, and then I think your response should be something like, oh, it's just not dynamic enough for me. Men's football just really is too slow paced.
It doesn't do it for me.
It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
And then if they ask you something like, oh, what do you watch? You should be like, rugby. Have you ever watched Ilona Mar? But don't refer to the female sport as
The female version.
As the female version, but continuously refer to it as men's football or men's hockey or men's baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And always be like, oh yeah, that just really isn't dynamic
It's not
enough.
that interesting.
You know, like the players are just, they're really stagnant.
I think that takes me to potentially two things. So maybe when you're referring to any of the NFL people specifically, you refer to them as the spouse of
I love
whoever.
that.
So Travis Kelce, I'd be like, oh yeah, the quarterback, the spouse of Taylor Swift. So you always just kind of take a woman-centric approach when it comes to that. And do you remember at Maya's rehearsal dinner when I said, I'm so happy that Taylor Swift put Travis Kelce on the map, and he was so mad.
Yeah, that guy was genuinely
He hated it. We should bring back that reel because it's genuinely so funny.
I just think that when you specifically refer to it as men's sports, they don't know what to do with that information.
I probably not, because I'm going to start doing that.
I
don't do that.
I am too, because I'm sick of people asking me about sports teams because it's the only thing that they can bring up conversationally. And I'm just tired of it.
I genuinely don't care.
No, I don't care either.
And then if I do care, then I have to pass a test if I even know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
So I remember, because I went to Clemson, I was a big football fan, went to all of the games. And so I genuinely would like watching football, but I remember I was in a work setting and I said that, and they're like, what are the so many ways that you can get a point in football? And I'm like, I'm not answering that question. I don't have to quantify my ability to understand the sport. What, like it's hard? Like it's not.
Yeah, I don't know why there's always a quiz afterwards. So I'm just like, not anymore.
Another thing when it comes to putting the female label on things is anytime it's, you know, always like it's a female doctor or a female commander or a female pilot. No, we're going to start saying male everything. So whenever you have someone telling you a story, you just want to make sure, oh, was it a male CEO? Oh, was it your male boss or your male doctor? We're not going to assume it's male anymore. We're going to qualify it.
I have two things for that. The first one's a story. So pretty recently, I've never seen the movie Top Gun. Don't come for me. I haven't seen the old one. I haven't seen the new one.
You don't watch a lot of movies.
I'm not a movie watcher. I'll tell you, I'll add it to a list. There is no list. I'm not watching these movies. I don't have time for that, okay?
No.
I'm doing granny hobbies. I'm not watching Top Gun. But pretty recently, there was a topic of conversation that got brought up. And because Top Gun is a popular movie, I know the gist of it. I know that there's like male pilots. It's a very like
it's
macho man type movie. I know a lot of people like it. The point of this story is not to put down Top Gun.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I'm sure it probably is. But I'm so sick of people always telling me to watch these movies that I have no interest in, especially ones that have like this kind of macho man flair to them that I really don't care to watch. What's the test for when a movie...
Malia's test?
Yeah.
I just call it the Malia test.
Me too, but I know it has a name.
Okay, the Bechdel test is a measure of women's representation in film, requiring that a movie has at least 2 named female characters who talk to each other about something other than a man. It highlights the presence and roles of women in fiction, aiming to address gender inequality in media.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's not passing the Bechdel test, I'm probably not watching that movie. I genuinely don't find it interesting or realistic. And I don't know if Top Gun does. I don't think it does.
I, with 98% certainty, say that it does not.
And with that, I probably won't watch it. But recently, a bunch of guys were trying to convince me to watch it. And so I was like, oh, well, what's it about? I was pretending like I really had no clue what it was about. I was like, what's it about? And they're like, oh, it's about these pilots and blah, 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 telling me about their training and like what they do. And after a while, I was like, oh, she. I kept referring to the pilots as she until finally one of them was like, oh, the pilots are guys. And I looked at him deadpan in the face and I go, they're guys.
Why would I want to watch that?
No, I didn't say that. I said, I just think that that's really unrealistic. And he goes, unrealistic for there to be male pilots? And I was like, yeah, you're saying the best pilots were males? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I just really don't think that that's realistic. And he was like, what? And he was like, you know that a lot of pilots are guys. And I love that he said a lot of pilots are guys, because then I looked at him and I was like, the best pilots are women. And he did not know how to respond. And I was like, yeah, maybe if they made it a little bit more realistic, like using women, it would be more interesting.
It would be better.
I was like, it might be like more interesting. And he did not know how to respond. He was just shook that I was like so genuine in that, oh yeah, I just think it would be more realistic. And I just kept going back to that point of, yeah, it would just be more realistic if they had a female pilot. And he was like, well, there's a lot of really good male pilots. And I'm like, I'm sure that there probably are, but it just doesn't really seem realistic to me. And his brain could not fathom, could not. Maybe that's rage bait.
That might be a little bit rage bait, but I love it.
I'm going to keep doing that for movies that I really don't want to watch.
I just hate I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but when I say that I haven't seen a show or movie and they're like, well, what do you do? I'm like, literally anything else. Literally anything else. I lived in Hawaii and I had people ask me, well, what could you possibly do if you don't play video games? Oh, I don't know. Go outside, take a walk, surf. Let me tell you about my actual hobbies. And you probably won't be wondering what I do.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting how offended people kind of get when I tell them I haven't watched movies. I don't know, to each his own. Okay, so my second thing on that is, this is kind of along the same lines as creating the baseline assumption that whoever someone is talking about is a female. Flipping the script on things like, stop calling other women a girl boss. She's just a boss. You are just straight up a boss. And instead referring to guys, like when they do something great, be like, oh my gosh, you're a male powerhouse. Or, oh my gosh, you're such a boy boss.
You're a boy boss.
And like continuously referring to them as the boy or the male or the whatever.
That, or using normally quote unquote feminized adjectives. So saying something like, that was cute. Or like, wow, talk about his suit or like his clothes or his outfit or something. Or just like the more things that are tailored towards the women.
Yeah. And I think that is a really good way to kind of like re-own those terms and normalize women in those spaces, because the underlying tone of it isn't that like we want to put men down. It's that we want to show like, hey, women belong in these spaces. It's not extraordinary or special that we need a different title for her because she is a CEO or because she is an athlete or because she is a whatever. It's like, that is just what she is. Oh, and she happens to be a woman.
Yeah.
Versus it kind of seems to be the norm to like label it. Now, more on the like rage baity side of that. I think that saying things to guys like, oh, wow, you did really well for a man. Or like, wow, you're really strong for a guy.
Yeah, I like that.
That's definitely rage baity.
That might be a little bit rage baity, but still things that they just wouldn't know what to do with.
And this is one that I particularly love. Taking traditionally female traits in the workplace, because you never hear someone say something like, wow, you have really neat handwriting for a woman. Wow, you're really organized for a woman. Those are two examples of things that typically I think that would come more as like a genuine compliment. And there's no caveat of for a woman and giving those to men.
To the man.
Yes. Like, oh, wow, you're really organized for a man.
For a man.
Yeah.
You dress very well. For a guy.
man. Yeah.
That's good. I think when it comes to the names that we associate with women, I also think on the flip side of that is taking names or words that used to be used as an offensive term for women. So like bitch, and using that as like, I think it's cool that we've kind of been like, oh, she's a bad and like taking back things that were at one time supposed to bring women down is a cool way to kind of just re-own the conversation and the narrative and take that back for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to do into dating?
Sure. These are kind of like responses to things. And these are more specific to, I think that often there's dynamic in dating and women are portrayed as emotional by men, especially if they're trying to like put women down or like it's in the context of a breakup or something like that. So these were some comebacks that I think are very funny.
Okay.
One is if a guy says something like, oh, you'll never find someone like me, which I feel like weirdly a lot of guys say.
I thankfully have never had a man say that to me.
That's incredible.
Because I think that they know that they are not the prize.
I think the response should be, that's the goal.
That is the point.
Yeah, that's
right?
the point.
Isn't that the point of a breakup?
Yeah.
Is to not find somebody like you? Yeah, get over yourself, Tony.
And then I think guys kind of try to like weaponize women's feelings. And women, I think, are definitely more apt to talk about their feelings. And so if during a breakup a guy is like, do you feel anything for me? The response should be, yeah, I feel sorry for you.
I think this general feeling of sorrow for men should just kind of be like the theme. Like, oh, I feel sorry that you have to be a man, or like just feeling sorry for them in general, I think is probably more rage baity, but something that we should take up.
Well, I particularly think that works, especially in the workplace. If someone tells you to calm down or like, oh, you're really emotional over this, flip the script immediately and be like, yeah, I'm sorry. I just feel really bad for you. Like, what are they going to say to that?
Or kind of the idea that being passionate about something is like a bad thing. Yeah, sorry, I care about X, Y, or Z. Like, I care about the soldiers under me. Or kind of like, like throw it back at them in the sense that like, yeah, I care about my job and I'm good at it. I can't say the same for you.
I feel sorry that you're not as passionate about this as me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I feel sorry that your soldiers don't have someone that care about them. I feel sorry that you're so complacent and that your lack of competence makes you misunderstand how serious this is.
Yeah.
I just really think that saying I feel sorry for you just is so good, because there are times where I am very passionate about something and I do care so much, and so it does elicit an emotional response.
I feel sorry for you in general. I feel sorry for your wife. Just kidding.
I'm not really sure what context you can use it in, but do as you see fit.
Yes.
For dating.
Use it, tweak it.
I knew it was a mistake to go for personality over looks.
Oh, that's like a double whammy. Like, the more that you think about it, the more you're like, ooh, ouch, right? Because you're basically saying, I didn't date you because you were cute or you looked good, aka you're ugly. And two, it's also saying that you have a crap personality.
Yeah, it's bad all around.
And three, like, I'm disappointed. And like, who wants someone to be disappointed in them?
Yeah, it's just all around.
That's a good one.
They're going to be thinking about that one for a while.
For probably ever.
Yeah.
For literal ever.
Save that for when you are ready to nuke something, okay? That is not to be said
You're
lightly.
You're burning bridges on that one. Do not expect to go back across the river. Borderline diabolical.
Absolutely diabolical.
Rage bait to its finest.
Yes, 100%.
I'm going to go through some of mine. A couple we already hit. In general, and we covered this a little bit, is kind of reversing the status quo in the way that we say things or think of things. So a perfect example would be what we already talked about of the male CEO, the male doctor, but also less specific of like referring to couples as the woman first. So like Jan and Thomas, and like just always saying the woman first, because we often always say the man first no matter what.
Yeah, same with like addressing cards or wedding invitations, things like that. The traditional etiquette is that you would put the man's
Mr. and Mrs. man's last name.
What I like to do, especially if they're not married. Now it's easy if they're married to just put like so-and-so family or Mr. and Mrs. so-and-so or Mrs. and Mr. so-and-so, you know, like if they have the same last name. If they don't have the same last name, then I will put Mr. and Mrs. her last name.
That's a perfect one. I think it also kind of takes us into the conversation about taking the man's last name.
Yeah.
Do you have a strong feeling one way or the other?
So personally, I have the same last name as my husband. So we went the traditional route. But to me, it was because I didn't have a strong familial tie to my last name. And it's really special to me to be able to have his last name because his family really, truly did become my family. So that is the significance for me. But I do know a lot of women who have careers where they use their last name, like doctors or military. One of the really difficult things for me being in the military, because we use our last names, was changing my last name.
Yeah.
Because that's who everyone professionally knew me as. And so I really had to make a decision of, okay, what takes priority here? My new family life or my professional life?
I know that some women will keep their last name specific, like professionally. And then when it comes to kind of everything else, they'll change it to whoever their spouse's name is. I wouldn't say that I have a strong preference one way or the other. I very much respect people that do decide to keep their last name, or like my mom, she made her maiden name her middle name. So I think that there's a lot of ways to do that, to like celebrate this new life and the new family that you're with, but also realize that your last name that you grew up with could be very special to you and you do want to bring that along. I always said that it depends on where I'm at in my career. So like if I got married like tomorrow and my career was kind of just starting, I probably would be more inclined to take my spouse's last name. Whereas if I was in the Army for 10 years and had 10 more years in the Army, I probably would have kept my last name, just because that's how everyone's known me for the last 10 years. And like you said, worked very hard to keep that, or to make that last name what it was.
Yeah, one thing that I will say about changing my name is that I was surprised at how quickly my new last name became my name.
Yeah.
I really thought that, my reputation, everything is like tied to my name so closely. It's going to be really hard to transition that. It was a lot easier than I thought. The paperwork was terrible. I think that you can make of a name what you want it to be.
Yeah, totally. My next one was inspired a little bit by my new job.
Ooh.
Because my new job requires me to know a lot about bourbon. Generally, bourbon and whiskeys and dark spirits in general tend to be more of a male thing. Males tend to be a little bit more interested in that. My idea of subtle microfeminism is just knowing more about a male dominated thing. So like I tell everyone I'm going to be the most annoying person at a bar. Just spitting bourbon facts like I freaking grew up in Kentucky, because I think it's so funny and takes people off guard when you know more about something than they quote unquote should know about. So like sports, bourbon, race cars, any of those things.
Finance,
stocks, bonds, like all of this stuff. There's very little that make men more upset than a woman knowing more than he should.
100%.
About a certain topic.
One thing that makes me genuinely annoyed, especially at the workplace, is when people assume out of everyone in the room, often I'm the only woman, that I don't know. A funny example of that, like really recently, I was in a course. A gentleman who I had literally met that day, he doesn't know anything about me. So he doesn't know my career background. He doesn't know anything. We get put in a small group together and he keeps looking at me and asking me like, hey, do you know what that means? Like in a like making sure that I'm up to speed. And I'm like, yep. And one of them was what my husband's current job is. And I want to be like, not only do I help him study, like my husband literally uses me as the ground force commander during his training to help him get better because I have experience in that and it makes him better. But it was just so funny that he kept asking me and I wanted to be like, not only do I know more than you on this particular topic, for sure, based on the things that you're saying, but it is outrageous that I guarantee that there are other guys in our small group who genuinely don't know.
Yeah, right.
But you're only asking me.
Yeah, that is really frustrating. Also, I think it's just a really difficult situation to be in because if you are in a situation where maybe you don't know about that, you don't want to come across as not willing to learn and then being in a situation where they won't explain it to you because you've come across as difficult or a know-it-all, which I think women in general just more inclined to be thought of as. For me, being in skydiving, for example, even if someone comes up to me and tries to explain a very simple concept that I very much know about, I don't want to be like, yeah, I know, because I don't want someone to come up, it's usually a him, not come up to me later for something maybe I don't know about, like genuinely don't know about. Hey man, I don't need you to come up to me and tell me how to pack this. I've done it enough and I've survived.
It's a really precarious situation because you don't want to come off as a know-it-all, but also you want to be able to ask questions later on. My default is like, well, maybe I don't know. Women are more like willing to learn.
Yeah.
But then usually it's them mansplaining it to me. You can't really be like, yeah, I know. I'm well aware. I literally have more experience than you in this.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
It's just a hard.
Yeah.
That's, I think, one of the hardest mansplaining things to be in because, I'm not against someone explaining something to me if it's a situation where, like, I would benefit from that knowledge. But you expecting me not to know is, like, where I have the issue.
Wait until later on in the conversation and hit them with something like they're a huge Star Wars or a Marvel fan. You hit them with, like, oh, so you're a really big Disney adult.
You really like Disney, and that is a very polarizing topic because some people will own that and some people will be like, that could be so offensive to the right person.
In these scenarios, you play the long game, okay? You play the long game.
That maybe takes it from microfeminism to rage bait to like diabolical to straight up like maniacal.
Yeah.
Playing that long game.
The long game is maniacal.
It is, and it's sometimes you gotta do it. I don't know if I should put this in subtle or non-subtle, but it kind of goes into your dating realm. This comes again from another personal experience. Because when I remember I had 2 back-to-back dates with 2 different guys. And I had the very similar experience where I said something that was objectively a confident statement about me. And I think it was like, I'm objectively good at my job. Or like, I'm very good at what I do. And I think the other one was like, yeah, I'm very good at triathlons. 2, I would say objective statement, right? Like you can look at my report cards for work. You can look at like X, Y, and Z, and I'm objectively good at these things. But the person that I was talking to was so shocked that sentence came out of my mouth. Like they were surprised that I was talking myself up or like being confident. And I just remember it was such a big kind of eye-opening experience to me because it, one, happened 2 separate times by 2 different guys that just could not handle the fact that I could be confident or like say something confident about myself. Just in general, being in these situations and talking ourselves up like we would talk our friends up.
Yeah.
Like taking up space and like saying and being proud of ourselves, not being cocky. Yeah, you can be confident in certain areas. And like you saying that you're good at a thing is not cocky. It could just be an objective statement. And I think that is kind of, unfortunately, an act of microfeminism.
Confidence in women is often misinterpreted as aggression or put down because I think it is surprising. I don't think it really should be because when I'm in circles of women, I find lots and lots of competent, very confident women. But how that confidence comes across is often really different than how it's displayed in men. And so when it does take on a form that's maybe more similar to how men display it, just saying statements that you know are objectively true, being willing to go toe to toe with someone and say, no, I know I'm right and this is why, not backing down from things, I think is very surprising to people. And
it is definitely men in the work and dating sphere.
when it is repackaged as aggression, the response should be, no, I'm just confident. No, I just have a lot of experience. Whatever positive trait that would be said of men. Because often men aren't described as, oh, he's really aggressive. It's like he has a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Or he's really confident. Or he's really whatever. Repackage yourself as that. Or I understand how I could come across as that to someone with less experience.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because truly, that's usually what it actually is. And that's what I've found in my own career, particularly in the workplace.
Or don't, and make it commonplace. I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry if that comes across as aggression, because it's not your job to make other people feel comfortable. Yeah, as long as I'm not lying or saying anything.
No, yeah.
Like it's not my job to make you feel comfortable, and I am confident. I get to be because I got this far.
And I think if someone is questioning your confidence, that's a really good opportunity to just stand in it and be okay with maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable and let them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. All right, these are my not as subtle ones.
Okay.
Number 1, supporting women's sports in general. Watching games, hyping up. I think Alona Mar does the best job at this in that she is an Olympic rugby player and not only portrays like her confidence and in like her body and her skill as a rugby player, but also furthering women's sports and women rugby. I think she's just like such a role model. And I think that we have recently had some big women in sports names.
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, Caitlin
basketball
Clark,
player.
Simone Biles, all of these really strong women that like people, I say quote, like care about women's sports. Like, no, people have always cared about women's sports.
Yeah.
Just because it's new to you doesn't mean that people are only starting to care about it. So that's one thing that I think is really important in general in our society is like making a big deal about women's accomplishments and not hanging that on their relationships or who they're dating or what they're wearing and stuff like that. So that's my non-subtle way of like microfeminism is like being really loud about women's sports in particular.
Yeah, I think that is also just really fun in
Yeah.
general. It's something that I'm actually genuinely interested
like
in.
what do you mean that women's sports isn't as interesting?
Women in sports are often a lot more genuinely portrayed as a lot more dynamic because usually there's more to the story than just the sport. Now, if you're interviewing Caitlin Clark post a basketball game and all you care about is her outfit, yeah, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Looking at them as
Role models.
as holistic
Yeah.
role models. Like Alona is a really good example of that because she does have a deal with CoverGirl. And so she is
on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
yeah, but I think that the story should be why not both?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But there is a time and place
As
for
long
it.
as long as it's not connected to another human being, because I think a lot of the times, like I was just reading an article, I guess Simone Biles was just hospitalized, and one of the headlines was NFL wife Simone Biles, as if she can't stand on her own.
That is so bizarre.
That's kind of what I mean by standing alone and not being connected to another person. And that happens over and over and over again, is their spouse, whoever they are, overshadowed their accomplishments, which I have a huge problem with. And a lot of the time, this is my inner feminist coming out, but their stories are more interesting because they're not getting the sponsors. So they probably do have to work harder. So they probably do have another job. And they have had to face so much adversity that, like, I'm sorry, but their stories probably are a little bit more interesting. And not to say that there are no men's stories that aren't. There's plenty of athletes, men in general, who fight adversity and all of that to get where they are today. But in general, women are constantly fighting that battle.
Yeah.
And deserve to not be seen as just somebody's partner.
For me, the separation is let someone's accomplishments speak for themselves and let them speak to the hard work and dedication and the journey that they had to take to achieve those things versus boiling them down to surface level things. If they also want to talk about fashion or makeup or other things, yeah, let her do both. When we are like naming them or identifying them, boiling them down to things that are not related to their accomplishments, I think is really offensive.
And I think it's offensive for multiple reasons. One, because you think that that's all they boil down to. And two, you're assuming that your audience, aka the rest of the people, only care about that.
Yep.
No, I don't care what outfit she's wearing. I care about the training that she got, that she did to get where she's at. Or like, what was her hardest moment? Or like, when was the last time you like humanizing them in a way that's not, boiling them down to very service level things.
Yeah, 100%.
So, my next one, there are a lot of different ways to kind of show up in the feminist space, and we all have different roles in that. I think for me, it's always been showing up in male-dominated spaces, taking up space and being good at my job, right? Like, I don't have to post about X, Y, and Z because to me, my resistance or like acts of microfeminism are showing up to work, being good at my job, and having other people look at me and be like, that is a qualified person, not just like, well, she's an exception because she's like one woman good at this. So I would say that non-subtle way of not necessarily microfeminism, but like feminism at its peak, the way that I show up as a feminist.
That I think is also how I show up in those spaces, is being willing to step into whatever arena that is, whether it is friendly to women or not, and show up as my best all day, every day.
Yeah. And I would say a lot of the time that has looked like, especially early in our careers, it has looked like keeping our head down and keeping our mouth shut. And not necessarily things that I'm proud of saying that I didn't speak up for myself for, but that's something that I learned as I went on. But constantly learning and being put in situations that, you stand up for yourself and you make space and you support other women who are in that space as well, instead of pitting them against each other and all of that stuff. So
it's one thing to achieve on your own and show up in those male dominated spaces, but then you kind of are seen as like the token, the only, the best.
Which might make you feel good for a second, but then you look at it and you're like, no, I want someone next to me.
Exactly. And so I think the bigger piece of it is making pathways for other women. When guys in that space are saying things like, oh, well, you can do it, but other women may not be able to. Clearly stating like, no, other women can do this. Other women will be able to do this.
Yeah.
Other women are doing this right now. If a woman is struggling on that pathway, helping her, going out of your way to help her, because it is not the same pathway as guys. And the idea that, oh, helping another woman is, making her less qualified because you're helping her along. No, that pathway is not the same as the pathway that guys are going on.
No.
So I think that the best act of feminism is not just achieving yourself, but ensuring the success of women who follow you and building that chain reaction. And to me, like, it does feel good when you achieve, but it feels so much better when you help someone else.
Yeah. I remember when I was in RTC, so when I was in college, I was a really good runner. I ran my whole life, and so I was a good runner. And I was kind of like the token female on Ranger Challenge. And I remember, I think I was a junior when there was a freshman that came in and she almost beat me in the 2 mile. And everyone was like, oh, you've got some competition. And I'm like it was a bad thing. Yeah. And I was like, no, this is a good thing. One, it's going to push me to be better. Yeah. Two, it shows everyone else around me that like, I am not just unique situation. There are so many other women like me that can do what I do. And it's not special, right? Like there are women that can do this. And so, supporting her and like bringing her up, teaching her the lessons that I wish I knew and like all the mistakes that I made when I was that young. But supporting other women, I think, is the peak feminist move, right? Like not allowing queen bee behavior, picking those up around us, especially if they're women, succeeding together is so much better than succeeding by yourself. The way that we take the next step, like that's how you take the next step. That was kind of all that I had.
So I want to talk about emotions.
Okay.
I think that is something that is weaponized against women a lot. I talked about it a little bit in the dating portion, but I think that it's something in the workplace that is really underutilized as a method for microfeminism and maybe some rage bait.
Maybe. I don't think they understand emotions, right? Because when they act angry, that's an emotion, sir. So when you're throwing stuff around, stop being so emotional.
Yes.
That's an emotion.
So here's a few examples that I think could be either microfeminism or some rage bait. I imagine this scenario a lot of times like in meetings where someone has already been rude to you or talked over you or isn't listening or etc. Like, wow, you seem to be having a lot of feelings right now. Do you need a minute? Let's talk about this when you're less emotional.
Or even just a simple calm down.
Men love to say that to women. Say it right back.
I think that they find joy out of that too.
Me too.
Because they know it's gonna rile you up more. That's not a neutral comment.
You don't need to defend yourself really for being emotional or for being passionate or for feeling things. What you should do is explain why their lack of emotion is alarming, I think. In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And I think as women, our emotions and our feelings are our intuition being displayed. And a lot of times it is merited. If you have to continuously mask all of your emotions and you have to be beyond reproach and this essentially shell of a human being in order to get your point across, so should he. If women can turn that on every single time we go into a meeting,
like code switching.
So should he.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because like we often talk about the like patriarchy in general being hurting women, but I think it hurts men in the same way. Hiding your emotion and having to code switch is not a good thing. Emotions aren't a bad thing. It's the way that you handle them and react to them that make it productive or non-productive. Like having an emotion or being passionate about something is not objectively a bad thing. And so, yeah, turning it and being like, your lack of emotion or your lack of passion is actually very alarming. And like, let's talk about it, because I'm sure there's nothing they would hate more than let's talk about feelings, because they usually don't like talking about that.
And what I really like about these acts of microfeminism is you get to pick and choose where you use them and when you use them. So if there's a guy who is continuously telling women to calm down or like, oh, it must be that time of the month, or like putting women down, okay, well, he's the one that you then you ask him like,
are you okay?
Are you okay? Do you just need a minute to process? Like, do you need to step out and cool down for a second? Are you all right?
Are you all right?
Yeah, I don't want to get your blood pressure too high. It's
Calm
really
down, sir.
It's really bad for men.
That's bad for your health.
And then if there's someone who is switching it on you, then you can say things like, oh, wow, well, your lack of emotion is really concerning. Do you think you have a future in this job field? Because you seem really non-passionate.
Non-committal. That would be a good one.
I get him.
I would get him quick. I did have a story. I was at work the other day, and really the kind of like obnoxious guys that like walked in. It was me and my coworker, and they were kind of doing the like, wow, there's like pretty girls everywhere you walk, and like, is that like part of their business model? And you're like, relax, sir. I don't know what you're trying to do. And then I was asking about where they were from or whatever, and they asked me where I was from, and it's not from here. So they were like, oh, did you follow a boy here? And I was like, I kind of just gave him the little like face, because I'm like, it's like a customer facing job. So it's like, you don't want to come out too strong because I don't want to get in trouble. But also you want to put someone in their place where like, hey man, first of all, there's nothing wrong with following a guy or whatever. But like, no, actually the army brought me here. I'm in the military. I don't like your tone, sir.
There is something to be said about the harassment that women experience, particularly in customer-facing businesses. When you're trapped behind a counter or you're a waitress, you have to be nice to the customer.
I'm quite literally getting paid to be nice to you.
You can't really do much back, but there's a limit to what you can do without
there is
without like causing a problem, etc.
Yeah, and I think it kind of is one of those things where you do have to kind of like read your surroundings and being like, is this worth it? And then get ahead of it and be like, okay, maybe go to your boss and be like, you might get a nasty review because this happened and I responded like this. But I don't think you're ever necessarily in the wrong for sticking up for yourself in a situation where you're being harassed, an inappropriate or sexist comment comes across and you put them in their place. Because you're probably always only going to regret the times that you didn't say something versus the times you did say something.
I also think that it can be dangerous for women because if you don't say something, that may give them the fuel that they need to keep doing progressing and progressing. Having that intuition of reading the room and having managers and other people to back you up at work, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Okay, I have just some funny ones now.
Okay.
These are all different scenarios, but ladies, take these as you will. Or men. I think men should definitely use these.
Okay. Let's hear them.
Okay. So I think if a guy is just really mansplaining a lot of things to you or whatever, a really funny comeback is, "You're so sassy."
Because you can't argue with being silly.
No.
And that's kind of just like silly. And you're just kind of like, there's nothing to come back to that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not sassy.
All right. This one I'm very passionate about. I think one way that guys try to segue into like hitting on you if they are in a relationship is by talking down about their current relationship.
Ew.
Yeah, hate that.
Yuck.
Double hate that.
Hate that for so many reasons.
First off, I'm a gal's gal, so that's not gonna fly.
She's getting a hey girl text.
Second off, your gal's married, and my favorite subject to talk about is my husband, as you all know, as our listeners.
Second to shalabrating.
You have no chance. You doubly have no chance if you're putting down women, because all it makes me think is, why would a woman want to be with you if you talk negatively about women? I don't care if she slashed your tires and held you at gunpoint. You better be like, she's beautiful though.
Yeah.
I think what you should do is, if a guy is like talking down about his relationship or whatever, don't feed into it. You have no responsibility to be his therapist or to listen to him or to help him emotionally process what he's going on. You should be like, damn, she sounds cool.
Yeah. Or like, dang, it sounds like she's got a full plate dealing with you, and just turn it back on him.
Yeah.
Okay, what if you were in a situation where he was like negging you? I'm trying to think of a good comeback for that. So he basically is hitting on you by insulting you.
A really easy one for me, because I'm so tall, is like if someone's negging me and I'm almost always wearing heels, asking them, does it bother you if I'm wearing heels? I'm taller than most men. I'll just like try to work that into the conversation.
Yeah, I would probably just hit him with a, like, does that work for you?
Again, play the long game. Like, so aside from the obvious, what would you change about yourself?
Yeah.
And then
that's a good one. Or if you were athletic, what sport would you play?
Yeah. I mean, you could just play the long game. There's some solid one-liners. Just wait to drop your bomb until the prime moment. A lot of men try to cross over into the emotional cheating realm by putting down their current relationship. And I just love building that girl up. I don't care. You could tell me that she lit your house on fire.
You could be like,
and I'd
you're
be
so
like,
lucky.
I'd be like, oh my gosh, wow. She did you a favor, probably.
It's good that you get to start over. That's a good one.
I mean, like, there is nothing that you could possibly say.
She slashed your tires. Good. Your truck was horrible.
Yeah. You needed a new car. There's so many things where I'm like, no part of me will ever take your side. I'm sorry. You're not going to get emotional support from me.
No.
Not here, buddy.
Nope.
Not going to happen.
Not here, not ever.
These ones I think could be useful in the workplace when people are just being really stubborn or wasting your time. I can only explain it to you. I can't understand it for you as well. Love that.
Love that.
I love that you don't let your height get in the way of your confidence.
That's a good one.
That's risky. You might go to HR for that.
That has to come back. Like, you have to use that in a particular situation where they came at you hard first.
Yes.
Because they're like, well, then HR would be like, well, why did she say that? And then if you gotta explain yourself, they're not gonna go to HR for that.
I like your simplicity when it comes to critical thinking. And also, all of these are all in the delivery. Ladies, we are masterclass actresses, okay? We have been acting since the day we entered these male-dominated fields.
Yes, and probably longer. And if it doesn't go well the first time, that's okay. You'll have more situations where you can pop these out.
Yeah, 100%.
It'll be all right.
I think since we're in the South, I think that Southern women have really mastered the polite clapback. They say something and it's like, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
That type of
energy.
A
lot of these situations.
Yes. Saying things like, I'm sure that makes sense to people who don't know any better.
I remember thinking that when I didn't know any better.
So polite, but also such a good dig.
And you have to kind of think about it too. Yeah. I love an intelligent comeback.
Oh, okay. I'll follow it up with this one.
Okay.
I did not come up with this one. This one I've seen a ton on social media, and I think it's a really good one to end on because I think it's just so funny. So funny. I don't like getting catcalled. It's kind of...
Does anybody?
No, I don't really think so. I think some people think that it's like a confidence boost for women. It's not. It's annoying. Nothing is going to come from it. It's usually just kind of borderline harassment.
It is harassment.
Someone catcalls you, you turn around and say, I'm sorry, I don't have any change.
Or give them change. Give them $1 and be like, God bless you.
We don't have time for that in 2026.
Yeah, we don't have time for still being catcalled.
No.
Nobody's got time for that. And I feel very confident saying that no one on planet Earth has ever gotten with someone because they catcalled them.
No.
It's never happened.
No.
Not once.
Totally different than going up to someone and giving them a genuine compliment.
Totally not the same.
But just screaming at someone from like across the street. Why are you doing that?
Okay, I've started doing that to guys.
Really?
Yeah. So does that make me a bad person?
What do you say?
I usually go, hey, baby.
Oh my gosh.
I go, what's up, baby? I usually don't say it loud enough for them to hear. I kind of do it at that level where it's like, maybe they hear me, maybe they don't. Because I know how much it sucks to get catcalled. So yeah, I'll usually go like, what's up, baby? How you doing? Do you think that's microfeminism? I think that is. I think
maybe.
That's a non-subtle form.
Part of the reason why I think it's a lot different for you doing it to men versus men doing it to women. And I know some people out there will be like, feminism is equality, kind of, but in a lot of ways, no, because I don't think any guy is going to see you and be like, wow, I'm really worried that they're going to follow me and find out where I live and break into my house and whatever. Not that you're not capable of doing that, but the power structure is just fundamentally different.
Yeah.
And especially when setting matters. You know what it feels like to be catcalled late at night when you're trying to just walk somewhere and meet your friends. And you're faking being on the phone.
Yeah.
That is totally different than, you know,
me being in my car going 45 miles an hour and being like, sup, baby?
Yeah. That's totally different.
It is different.
That's why it's funny because there is no inherent fear of you saying, what's up, baby? Whereas like someone saying that to you, depending on the setting and where you're with, could be really scary.
Yeah.
I just don't think that role would be reversed.
Yeah.
Should be. These men should be scared out there. We're plotting.
What's up, baby?
I think that just about does it.
I think we've hit a lot of our microfeminism rage bait things. If you have any feedback of you trying any of these or you have any extra ones for us, I think I'm going to start using a lot of these in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are funny. A lot of them are rage bait.
Well, that is it for our episode today. Of course, again, like, comment, and share. Follow us. Love your support. Can't wait to collaborate more with you next time. Tune in for our next episode.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Collaborate. We can't wait to bring you more episodes.
Don't forget to follow, like, and drop us a review. Our episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Patreon.
If you liked the show, post it on your social media and pass it along. Women supporting women is the whole point.
We'll be back next week with more opinions, more stories, and more collaboration.
Until then, I'm Kat.
And I'm Tyra. This podcast is for the girls.